So wasn't it just like 2 days ago that the Dow Jones, the stock market's up like 175 or 100 and something around there, and on news of nonsense, again, nonsense. Markets rally. We're more in debt than we've ever been. Markets rally. Right? We've got 3 months of letting the national debt rise, as they said. 3 months of that. It's just gonna be temporary till we can really come up to an agreement. Markets rally. That's a good reason to rally. You're in more debt, markets rally. It's like saying you're in more debt, you can't pay it, your credit score just went up. Huh? Yeah, I'm in more debt, I can't pay my bills, I'm borrowing more, my credit score just went up. Yep. Anyways, I see a thing from Business Insider today that all the European markets are in the tank this morning, March 1st. Was the date that this article was published from Business Insider. Eurozone's in the red, and particularly worse hit was Italy. So, if our government, or really shouldn't use the word government when I'm referring to the central bank, Ben Bernanke, because he's not really part of the government, and I'm pretty sure that there's no law that has ever been created that allows for Ben Bernanke of the Federal Reserve to say, well, since the European markets and the American markets are kind of tied together, same with the banking system, that we had to give trillions of dollars away to them too, of our your American dollars, and bailouts over there. Pretty sure there was no real reason for that other than him saying, well, they're tied together by the hip, so to speak, so if we don't, it'll be doom and gloom. Oh, well, in that case, forget if there's any laws, just do it, no problem. So 2 days later, European markets are in the tank, but 2 days before that, was it Wednesday or whatever? Our stock market's rallying. So if our markets and our economies and banking systems are tied to the hip, America's and the European zone, and again, I just gave you the example that we gave them trillions in bailout money. So anyways, how is it that our market rallies and then 2 days later theirs fails and then theirs start looking good and then ours starts to go back down again and back and forth? It kind of reminds me of the same reason why the US dollar is still like at 81 on the index, the US dollar index. How could it possibly be there when we're printing so much money, we're borrowing so much money? How could the dollar just be, in other words, it doesn't, according to the chart, so to speak, the index, it's not devaluing at all. Yet, as you can see in the grocery store, and when you go and buy gas, oh, it's devaluing. But again, we can't look at reality, we have to look at the fake numbers. And how is that number fake then? If it's fake, how is it fake? Well, let me tell you how. The US dollar index, again, it's around 81 right now, I believe, is tied to a basket of currencies. Heavily of that basket of currency is the euro. So you almost might as well forget about the rest of the currencies and just say it's the US dollar against the euro. And as I used to use an example a while ago, I haven't used this in a while, but I'll go ahead and pull it out of the old archive of my brain. I would always refer to the US and the European, dollars or whatever, as two sinking ships. Every now and then, one ship sinks faster than the other, and it appears that the other one's not sinking and it's actually going up. It's floating up. They must have fixed it. They must have fixed all the holes in the sinking ship because it's now rising. But the reality is, no, it's not rising. The ship you're comparing it to, standing side by side in the ocean, is sinking faster than yours, but you're both still sinking. And then every now and then, yours starts sinking faster and the other one appears to be going up. Hey, they must have fixed their problems. And again, the reality is that neither have fixed any problems. And they're both sinking ships. One just sinks faster than the other. So, you can't, in other words, it's not a valid thermometer, so to speak, to see, well, what's the dollar worth? What's the euro really worth? And what are they at today on the charts? Absolutely, it is as meaningless as the numbers on our stock market. It's as meaningless as the numbers in the gold and silver commodities markets, or any commodity for that matter, in the commodities market, because it's all a piece of paper setting the price. It's not the commodity that sets the price. It's not the people who produce the commodity, such as the miners that dig up the gold and silver, or the oil producers who pull the oil out of the ground. They don't set the price. The price is set in the United States of America every day in the state of New York on the exchanges. And of course, Chicago with the comics and all that. So that's where the prices are set. So to use any of that, any part of all of that as some kind of thermometer or gauge of how, like, your country, they just admitted it the other day and said, well, and you know, it's not really admitting to truth, it's admitting to what we've been saying, which is all they care about is what the stock market looks like. It's no longer GDP, what your country produces, how little debt you have, which would be a good thing as a country, or how much indebted you are. None of that matters anymore. All they said to look at the other day was simply look at the stock market. If the stock market's healthy, your country is that deal. Your country is the man. But as I pointed out, it's all digits, pieces of paper, writing on a piece of paper that says some number. And if you control the number on a piece of paper, then you control the perception, keyword, perception, of what that really means. So if it really means how good or bad your country is in, they just fake the numbers and pretend that it's good. It doesn't change the fact that it's not good. Just like if I tried to sell a car that didn't have an engine in it, but it looked beautiful. It looked like the day it rolled out of the dealership, like it was parked in the garage for the whole life of the car. And then I open it, hey man, this car's only 5 years old. It looks like it never even was driven. You're absolutely right. And you can have it today for a fire sale price. Man, they may not even be interested in driving it. It looks like it's brand new. So as long as the perception of that car is being brand new, the tires are still in perfect shape, they can tell the car was never driven, they'll probably just hand me the money and say, all right, I want the car. Never even thinking, let me look underneath the car, under the engine, to really see and make sure this car is legit. In other words, they were hoodwinked. So if they decide to question me and say, hey, can I look under that engine? No, I don't think so. That's what I'm going to tell them. That's not necessary. I mean, look at the car. Look at the car. It's brand new. It's only 5 years old, but it was never driven. It parked in the garage. I started every now and then just to keep the thing running. I'd go down the block and back. You know, got to keep the car moving. It's fine, trust me. But I'd really like to look under the hood. No, you don't need to. That's what we're being told. You know, what about our debt? What about this money Bernanke's been printing? What about the trillions of dollars? We had $9 trillion when Obama took office. It turned into almost 17 trillion now. It's almost doubled. And he just started his second term. What about that? Isn't that powerful numbers to look? No. Meaningless. Meaningless. Look at the stock market. That's all you need to look at. Look at the stock market. So again, Italy and the Eurozone, they're in the red. 2 days after our stock market had this great rally. And then the next day, which was yesterday, our own powerful stock market that was up 175 points was in the red over 20, or around 20. Well, it was only 20, it went up 175. Yeah, that's right. But if you're in a rally, and this is good news, since when is good news lasting a single day? And that's it, and then the market up, good news out the window, back down again. I mean, is this what our system is? Yes, it is. And even though it does that, we still control the price. We still control the fake market. So reality kicks in, people start selling off again, and then we just, again, with the Federal Reserve, or what they call the President's Working Group on Financial Matters, also known as the Plunge Protection Team, which was enacted, I think, in 1989, basically dictates that this group needs to maintain stable markets in America at any and all costs. Which, essentially, reading that, you would say, well, to me that means they have an unlimited cash flow supply to do anything they need to do, buy and sell any stock or share or bond, whatever that they need to do to make the market look healthy in America for whatever, you know, for national security purposes, whatever the reasons. Again, it doesn't change the fundamentals. It doesn't change the facts, the truth, what's really happening. So what happens to anything that's papered over, hidden, skewed, whatever? It finally always comes out. It has a major breaking point one day, and it's disastrous. That's how it always ends. Look at Enron. Fake, you know, fake energy company, basically. Fake stock, fake company, fake everything. And cause the prices of energy to rise massively because again, they were pushing so much money on the energy market, on the, again, paper, commodity market, whatever, and people had to pay prices they should have never paid for energy on a fake company that wasn't even doing anything with energy. It was just, the whole damn thing was fictitious, it was just fake, and yet it drove the prices insane a few times, and the average person paid for that, while the company and the people who worked for the company made massive amounts of money. But what happened? It finally folded. It was exposed, it crumbled, it finally took place. So would it be too far of a stretch of anyone's imagination to say that the same thing can and will happen to anything that has been exposed for so long? It's just a matter of time that it gets exposed and it's you know, taken out of the shadow, so to speak, and dealt with. That's going to be our economy, our government, whatever, our country, sooner or later. And I know everybody loves to just kick the can down the road because that seems to be the easiest thing, and it just covers up, again, the underlying problems further. So it doesn't surprise me that our buddy, Eurozone, is all in the red, and Italy's even worse than before, than the rest of them too. So, another day in paradise. My boss and I, on the other hand, we don't care about any of that. Because the bottom line is people have to eat food. They have to eat food. So if you have a restaurant, and you got good food, and there's nothing else within miles and miles and miles and miles that you would even consider using the word edible food, except for this one barbecue and pizza restaurant known as Ernie's Smokehouse Grill, which is where I'm working, you pretty much don't have anywhere else to go to eat. And everywhere else you do go, like a little convenience store or whatever around here, is garbage. They got the little heater thing with the, you know, the chicken strips and the French fries that have been there for, you know, God knows how long, the frozen pizzas that are pre-made, that are, you know, $12 or $13, and it's garbage as well. You know, that's what we see around here. So that's what my boss said. I'm going to go into this town and look for something that is needed. That's what he always does whenever he starts a business. He's started multiple businesses in his time, and still has them. So he said, I'm going to go into here and I'm going to look and see what's needed. As soon as we got in here, looking around, found this little place, man, there ain't nowhere to eat around here. And he's like, for a while now, we've been wanting to do this little barbecue place, and at least back in Florida, we've really considered doing it. And now that we're out here, man, it needs it. So again, we're in here doing it, and there are people stopping by all the time, looking when you open in. I go somewhere else, like this little marina I'm passing by right now. They've got like a little place inside where you can eat, a little small area. And they cook like hamburgers and stuff on the grill. So I've been going there mostly recently, and she's in there telling me, like, yeah, she's like, we got people coming in here, of course, to eat too, and they're all asking me, when are they open? And when are they open up there, you know, in Clifton, you know, right down the street in the downtown or whatever. Which I call it downtown, but it's ridiculous. You know, it's like 1 square block of old, like, historic buildings. It's pretty cool, but when I use the word downtown or downtown Clifton, do not think I'm talking like downtown of any major city, because you'd be sadly mistaken. It's just a tiny town. That's how a lot of these little towns are out here. But it's cool. You know, it's like a major place for where people come in the summertime for the river to put in at. A lot of traffic. They've got like 2 different fishing tournaments. They've got like little occasional things that they do here where, you know, they'll shut the streets off and lots of people will come in. Thousands of people come in, and it's just some kind of a festival or something going on. All that stuff we're obviously going to try to capitalize on as a barbecue and you know, pizza restaurant. But anyways, my point is we're not just sitting around like a lot of other people. Some of the people in Spain, you know, like that video I did a while back of them in the unemployment office singing the stupid song, Here Comes the Sun. You know, when these people are desperately needing a job, you just went in and made them feel good, and then you left. Now they're back to reality. Oh yeah, I still need a job. But thanks for making me feel good for a split second, you know, because our whole society isn't based on feel good. Who cares? Again, like just like our economy, just like the stock market, as long as the numbers show the stock market's good, the perception, that's all we need. That's feel good. That's feel good numbers. So it's not a surprise to see other people picking up on that and doing the same thing, basically becoming, you know, a feel good society. Who cares if you're starving? Who cares if your kids are starving, you don't have a job? As long as you went to the unemployment office and tried, and you felt good because some people came in and sang to you, Here Comes the Sun, then by God, everything's fine. Perception, everything's fine. Anyways, I'm at work. Talk to y'all later.